Morning, everybody. My name is Jared O'Leary. I've been playing drums since 1998, but I still got a lot of stuff to practice. It just, never ends. Especially on drumkit. Most of what I've been playing over the last, 26-ish years, has been on rudimental and concert percussion, and only a very small fraction on the drumkit. Now, in these practice streams, I like to share what I'm practicing, how I'm practicing, etc. And inside of all of these 350 plus practice streams, you can see timestamps in the description that shows what I was working on or what I was talking about in the timestamps in the description. Now, people will often ask me some questions like how to improve as a drummer or how to improve as an educator, because I've taught every grade, kindergarten through doctoral student. Been teaching since 2003. So I've got a wide range of performing and teaching experience, and I will often edit a lot of those responses down into little clips that I'll share in this playlist. There's over a dozen hours of free drumming tips in here, and have a wide range of different topics in here. If the title doesn't look interesting, when you click on it and it says "and other drumming tips," that means there are more different types of topics that are in there. In the timestamps again in the description if you're interested in seeing those. Now, all of the thousands of drumming play-alongs that I'm going to be using in these practice streams can be found on my home tab of YouTube. So when you click on my profile, on the picture on there, and go to the home tab, we've got drumming, gaming, computer science stuff. Because there's more playlists than I can actually fit in the row, like once you click, that's it. But if you actually click on the header here, it expands and it shows you over 2,000 different play-alongs, and drumming tips and lessons and pad reviews, etc., all here. Now, every single one of these videos has a link at the top that goes to jaredoleary.com/drum. If you're on vertical, it's the link right there. Otherwise, it's a little bit more of an angle on the horizontal view. And it takes you to here. This is where I've got everything organized way neater than what I can do on YouTube. So, for example, we got the 62 chop exercises here. This is great for if you're like really into DCI and WGI. We've got over 1,000 grid variations. There's 419 for triplet, 577 for 16th note, and then we got 36 kind of wacky ones like hurt the grid and whatnot. We've got over 150 timing exercises. We've got 55 drum charts. I'll be playing through these today. We've got them for both straight and swung, and then a video that shows how I'm developing limb independence, like the step-by-step process that I use to do this. We've got over 400 marching bass exercises, just under 400 technique exercises, and then here's all the drumming tips, here's all the live streams, the lessons, blah, 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 blah. Now, if you're confused where to start, there is a video at the top right here, actually a stream, where when you click on it inside the timestamps, it gives you some suggestions on some exercises that you can use to work on like your rolls or your flams or your speed or whatever. But what I really recommend doing is going to the technique section and checking out the playlist here and really focusing a lot of your time on this. Like if you want to work on endurance and speed, check out those exercises. If you want to work on your 3s and 4 strokes, check out those. Or your timing, or your triplet diddles, or whatever it is that you want to do. There's a lot of exercises here for you to choose from. Now, I'm going to be specifically focusing on the limb independence section today and going through the content that's inside of here. But because I've barely spent any time over the last multiple decades working on limb independence, I need to get it motivated. And so we're going to get motivated with Shia LaBeouf here. So Shia is going to help me out to be able to work on my limb independence today. So we're going to hide Shia. Don't worry, he's here in spirit. Do it! Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow, so just do it. Make your dreams come true. Just do it. Some people dream success. Well, you're going to wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. You should get to the point where anyone else would quit, and you're not going to stop there. No, what are you waiting for? Do it. Just do it. Yes, you can. Just do it. If you're tired of starting over, stop giving up. Oh, yeah, Shia LaBeouf. We're super motivated. Ooh, look at that flex. All goofiness aside, we're now going to work on the limb independence. That gets me in a goofy mindset. And I like to be in a goofy mindset. Try not to take this too seriously. All right, so the book I'm using is called 50 Ways to Syncopation. It's by Don Moyle. I highly recommend this book. It's very good. You can find it on /gear on my website. or underneath the tips and lessons section. It's the first link, the books and gear I recommend. Okay, so I am working out of this spreadsheet that I've created for myself. This spreadsheet, when you click on it, it shows you like how I played, whether or not it was like what the quality of the playing was, how fast it was, how I felt while doing it. And then this column A, keeps track of the average. So on average, these are technically proficient, so like I'm playing the ink on the page, or they're musical, so I'm adding in textures and sounds and embellishments that are not in the ink, but making it sound better this way. So we're going through sequentially and just focusing on the ones that are meh or needs a lot of work. And we're trying to get them to be technically proficient. Excuse me. Now, the one I'm going to start off with, because I'm skipping all the ones that actually sound decent, is this one. It's actually fairly simple, but deceptively difficult. So what is it? All right, so the pattern is basically quarter notes. Oops. Oh, where are my sticks? There we go. My wife is using her sticks while teaching a lesson on it yesterday. Okay, so the pattern is quarter notes. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. So the hi-hat's on 3, making the cymbal move, which is causing the camera to be like, whoa, what am I supposed to focus on with this? Okay, that's all you're doing with the foot only on 3 and just playing quarter notes while you're reading through short notes on the snare, so eighth notes, and quarter notes on the bass drum. Okay, while reading through these different charts. So this is, again, on my website, jaredoleary.com/drum. Whoops. And we're playing straight charts. So this row, it starts slow, and it goes to all the way up to 240 beats a minute. But because I'm going to be playing it at 160, I'm going to go into this playlist. It's got all these different charts in here, and you can pick any one of them that sounds interesting and play through it, like 46 through 50. Cool, sounds great. As always, in all these play-alongs, the BPMs are going up by 1 click at a time, and you can click on it, and then it'll count off, and you can hear the play-along. 1, 2, ready, and... But there's a timing delay, so I have it muted on your end, but there is a play-along. A 2, a 1, 2, here we go. No, I already screwed up. The hi-hat. Let's do it again. Hi-hat on 3, not on 2. Again, practicing the ones I'm not good at yet. 2, 1, 2, ready, and we're going. Great, so far. So you can improvise on the top line of each one of these, or you can just play the ostinato, whatever you want to do. 1, 2, here we go. I keep wanting to put the hi-hat on 2 instead of on 3. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's really messing with me this morning. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, and... A 1, 2, 3, 4. A 1, 2, 3, 4. So not as good so far as it was 2 days ago. A 1, 2, a 1, 2, ready, and... And 1, 2, here we go. Okay, last chart for this play along. And 1, 2, 1, 2, here we go. Oh, that was rough. Yikes. Okay, so in this chart, whoops, I keep track of how fast I played and the quality of the playing. The quality of playing was between like needs a lot of work and meh. There were moments where it like felt comfortable and sounded decent, but then the rest of it was just like, where is 3 for the hi-hat? So we're going to keep working on that one. Did not graduate. Wah, wah. But yeah, it kind of was pushing my limits and felt a little bit out of control. So we're just going to say out of control for that one. But, you know, that's why we're working on it. That's the point of practicing. All right. Now, I'm going to stretch and massage, and then I'm going to get back into the next chart that does not sound good yet, which is 26. So it's a Songo feel. So we'll do that here in a minute. But first, stretch and massage. Take the sticks. Pull it in, push it through. Ooh, feels good. Yay. I have a feeling if I like sat with that for like 5-10 more minutes, like it would have started to feel comfortable again, like it did 2 days ago. But like every group of like 5 different charts, like each one of those play-alongs has 5 charts in it, like has a very different vibe to it. So for that set, I just, you know, was struggling through it. But it's, if you're able to like just sit there and read through all 50 or 55, if you do the advanced ones at the very end of those charts, then it makes it so that you're just practicing sight reading the entire time, because it's not like you're going to memorize 50 plus charts all in one go. So as you get through, like, let's say you pick 160 for your tempo and you get through 50 of those charts, by the time you cycle back to the very beginning, you'll be like, oh, I've forgotten this one, and it's like fresh again. So I highly recommend that. But I outline that in that video that talks about how I develop limb independence. There's going to be a pattern here that I haven't done in a long time with the ride. I'm going to have to slow it down, back up, I guess, rather, some of the steps that I'll be doing. So you'll see more of the process in today's stream. But if you're reading charts with limb independence on an ostinato, then odds are you're fairly comfortable with it, comfortable enough to do that. But there's several steps to take like before that I outline on that video on how to develop limb independence. We'll be doing some of them today. Also, the stretch and massage routine that I'm doing right now, there's a video called This Hand Routine Saved My Drumming under the Drumming Lessons playlist. And that one kind of outlines what I'm doing. I'm kind of talking over it right now, but there's a very specific process that I'm taking to try and keep my hands nice and healthy, so I can continue to drum when I'm 7 billion years old. Now I'm going to massage. Considering that I've been drumming for a couple years, it'll be 30 years. The fact that I can still play with the heavy sticks that I use in the rudimental streams, the Hardeman hammers, it's great. I had some instructors who just like, their hands were wrecked after they aged out. They just were not able to play. I'm grateful I can at least hit the drum. pain-free most of the time. Unless I, like, injure myself from a workout or something. Doot, 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 doot. So the next pattern is also a very open pattern. The next one is a Songo feel. So the bass drum is played with the right hand on the ride. And so it's a very fun pattern to listen to, but it's so open, because there's like no downbeat on the bass drum, that sometimes it's a little weird, because you're playing on like the and of 2 and then on 4 for the bass. 1, 2, and 4, 1, 2, and 4, 1, 2, and 4. Or you're playing 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. Or I guess 1, 2, and 3, 4, and on the ride. It's difficult for me, at least. Maybe for you, you're like, Songo, I can do that. And then you try the Bayonne, and you're like, I can't do that. Bayonne's similar, so it's right, both, right, left, right, both. So there's a hi-hat, and then there's the downbeat on there. But the Songo pattern is this. So we got, we'll do that. So, that's the downbeat. While you read through the pattern on the snare drum. Okay, so the last time I did it at what speed? 180. Do I want to speed it up? Let's try 185. Let's see how that goes. Doot, 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 doot. Timestamps. This might be, whoops, too far. I can number sometimes. This might be one of the weird ones. Some of them I wrote out in like 5/8. Some of the charts. Some of them are in 3/4. Even though it's all in 4/4 on here, the phrasing's in like 5/8. Wish me luck. We'll see how this goes. 1, 2, here we go. That's fun. I like the pattern. Oh, this is one gonna be weird. A 2, a 1, 2, here we go. That middle section, woo! Weird. 1, 2, here we go. The drum is to be rolling. I don't know what that means. 1, 2, 1, 2, yeah. That's a hard chart. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, and. Okay, so I'm kind of conflicted about that one. So a lot of the stuff that I was playing was fine, and then there were some of the charts. It was just crash and burn. I'm gonna go ahead and say it was meh. Hey, on average, it's meh. So it's better than needs a lot of work. I'm making progress on it, but still not great yet. We'll get there. We'll get there. Okay, so that was the Songo feel. So let's do another one. Tyler, good morning. Did you have rehearsal this weekend? How'd it go? If you did. Okay, so this one's a Samba feel. So Samba is like a fast bossa nova in terms of what your feet are mechanically doing. So we have boom, tick, boom, boom, tick, 1, 2, and 3, 4, and but you play faster. But I can't play it fast yet. So this one. Play a soca? Ooh, what is that one? I think that's a soca. I haven't played a soca in forever. Anyways, so the Samba. This one is gonna be 1, 3, closed, open. So you're playing. Okay, that's the goal, is to get that on 3 and a closed hit on 1, but I'm not great at it yet. So when reading through these charts, when I was doing it 2 days ago, it was just kind of meh, because even though I could like mechanically play the eighth notes and stuff on the snare drum, I was not able to get the 3, the open note, the open hit. Did very well with your production. Feeling great. Awesome. That's good to hear. GG's. I'm glad to hear that your hard work as an individual and as a group is paying off. That you guys are performing. Well, I shouldn't say you guys. You folks are performing good. Try and use more gender inclusive terminology since, you know, have written papers collaboratively on that. So 150. Okay. I was like, I think I need to go a different playlist. Yes. We're going here. So straight charts, same charts are swung, but we're going to go to the 100 to 159. And we're going to play through stuff. Let's try this one. We'll just go to the beginning. Open. Am I in a band? Nope. Just practicing for fun. Most of what I do is rudimental, so like march in drumline and whatnot. Used to. And concert stuff, and then haven't really done a lot of drum kit. Uh-oh. A 1, a 2, here we go. We gotta do this again. Okay, come on, you can do it. I was not getting the open on there, and it was screwing me up playing. I wonder if it's because I'm like afraid of hitting my sticks on that. If I go with like, so instead of having cross, if I play like this, maybe I will be more consistent with it. Maybe. You consider guys to be gender neutral? Yeah, it depends on who you're talking to. So like I collaborated with 3 other trans friends of mine, music education scholars. We wrote a paper called Trans Voices Speaks, I think. And it was for like music educators, like how to work with like other trans students to be more inclusive, and talked about how instead of saying like you guys, you can use folks. And like while I see it as being like inclusive, like if somebody says, hey you guys, I personally don't have an issue with it. Some of my trans friends did. And so it's like I've tried to account for that. But you know, we all slip. I slip too. In fact, that's one of the things we talk about, like having presented it also with like other trans folks, is like everybody makes mistakes with it, with different pronouns. Like, oh, sorry, I used the wrong pronoun. And we need to just, you know, go, hey, it's okay. It happens. 1, 2, here we go. You like the Samba groove? It's a good one, if I could play it. One, 2, ready, and go. Yikes. I got like no shuts on that. No open ups. Can I do a snare roll? It doesn't sound very good on the electronic drums. Yeah, I hear you. I try and account for the many different interpretations of words, but you know, I always manage to miss it. Ugh. Yikes. And the comment section will definitely let you know when they come up with their wacky interpretations of anything you say. Oh boy. Although some people will just like intentionally kind of misinterpret things so they can go on a rant about stuff, especially if you're talking about like equity in education. It's wild some of the rants people have gone on. Yeah, okay, so I'm getting like the snare is mostly okay, but the I'm still just not getting that open on 3. It just keeps doing that. I wonder if playing it faster would make it sound better. Maybe. Usually I'd say don't do that, but for something like this, whoa, we're trying to get the feel. It might honestly be a little bit easier. So it's meh. I was making progress on it, but still not good. Not yet, at least. We will continue to practice it. Okay, next one. Actually, the next one in line. Okay, so permutations didn't happen. Okay, I'm gonna, because there's only one data point here, I'm gonna copy and paste it. So that way I have to play through it at least 4 times better than that to graduate from it. So next, okay, so this, oh, okay, yeah, this is gonna be rough. Okay, wish me luck on this one. So we're still playing. So a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 So we can play the variation where it's like 1, 2 and 3, 4 and or. But now it's on the syncopation. So this is gonna be hard. Let's see, 140, eh? So we're gonna need to go into the permutations, and we're gonna go up here. So we're taking several steps back, and we're gonna go into here, into the 8th note timing, and I'm gonna do this one. So it was 140. So we're gonna go to here and click. Okay, now I'm not going to play along to this yet. What I'm going to do is put on my metronome in through my earphones and play along to that. And then I'll read through the permutations to just sit with a measure at a time until it feels okay, and then I'll move on. And then after I can do that, then I will actually read through it, the whole thing, like as a play along. Grateful to have friends understanding me. Yes, yeah. No, that's a good way of thinking that. Yeah, like my wife and I know somebody who actually multiple people who have like changed their pronouns because they're coming out. And so having known them for years before that, sometimes it's like, oh, sorry, I used your former pronouns. And that's okay. So it's on the person who made the mistake to like just own up to it, but it's also on the person that the mistake is happening to be like, hey, it's okay, I understand you're trying. Even though it can like do that little ping in the back of your head where it's like, that's not, nope, don't identify. Don't need to take that pain out on people who are trying, in my opinion. But I'm just, one person. Ugh. Oh no. Already screwed up. Oh no. No. There we go. Ugh. Yeah, the moving eighth note. So in 2005 when I tried out for the snare line for Vanguard, Murray Gussick had us do an exercise where it was basically a drum set exercise where we're just playing so 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. While marking time to it. And so we were shifting it back and then so shifting the 2s and then 3s all the way up through 7s and then like a whole measured, etc. And as somebody who didn't play drum kit, and there's still, I wouldn't call myself a drum kit player. Ooh, it was hard. It was a good challenge though. All right, one, not 16th notes, Jared. Not ready for that. All right, let's try the 2s. Oh. No. Oh, it's so hard. All right, let's try the last line. Yeah, there's an exercise that I did for the basses that was like that. So this was like back when I was teaching high school still. There was a part that I did, and I'll play it like mark time, so bass, or I'll flip the mark time so it makes more sense musically. So like left, right, left, right, and they would play off note or offbeat eighth notes. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and we would permutate 16th notes, and that was to get them to be able to feel the different patterns while doing it. I might actually have the sheet music for it still. Let me see. Do. I forget where it's at. In here, maybe. Oh wow, my last year teaching there was 2013. Wow. Okay, so a lot of it was actually the bass permutation stuff that is actually on the website for one of the exercises that I wrote for them. I'm trying to find the other one that I was specifically thinking of. Oh, where are you at? Hmm. Da 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 bup bup. Yeah. No. Okay, so I don't have the one that I'm thinking of. It was a good one though. I don't know where it's at. It's somewhere. That's a helpful one. 5 pages of audition advice. I should look at it to see if there's anything I should share still. Like turn it into a video. Anyways, I'm procrastinating here. How does the brain figure all this out? Okay, so how nerdy do you want to get with it? Okay, so when you're learning a skill, or in this case, an ostinato pattern. So let's say we're playing this 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. Your brain initially when you're playing this is going to be like, wait, what's going on? Like, how do I do this? How do I get the timing down? Like, what's the feel? What's happening with the fingers? What's happening with your brain? You're not able to play like this pattern and like be able to talk. Like when you first are learning it, like when I'm playing through the permutation stuff, like this stuff, and I'm going through it, my brain is like, whoa. Don't read comments. Don't think about food. Don't think about your dog. Just focus on whatever it is that you're playing. Once you get to a point where well, okay, so you want me to be nerdy, so we'll be nerdy. So there's we've got the neurons, and then we've got these connecting points in between the neurons, axons. I'm not a neuroscientist, but I have a friend who is, but when you're, how do I want to describe this? When you are playing something, you are firing the same set of neurons over and over, from one to another, and it's a signal going from the brain across the brain, and then all the way down through your spinal cord and into your hand, and going, hey, move this way, do this thing, get it so that you get the exact timing down. And the timing is not only with what your hands do, but also the neural firings, what's happening inside of your brain. And so when you are doing this, as you continue to do it over and over, your brain has this really interesting process known as myelination that can occur when you do something repeatedly for an extended period of time, where your brain goes, oh, wait, maybe this is something that we need to know and be able to do in the future. So if you practice consistently every single day for like a good chunk of time, and repeat that over an extended period of time, kind of like with muscle development, your brain goes, okay, this apparently is something we need to reinforce. So we need to strengthen that connection between those two neurons with that axon. And so myelination, what it's doing is it's going from like a concert stick, the axon, to like a rudimental one. It gets thicker. So it actually coats it and insulates it, basically. So the insulation makes it so that it doesn't hit random neurons on accident, like misfire other things that it's not supposed to do, and makes it so that it's able to fire with a more precise timing, neurologically speaking, the rhythmic firings between the different neurons, and it's able to process more at a time. So it's like going from dial-up to broadband in terms of the connection. So that's developed over time. So when you're doing this, it eventually gets to the point where, like, the way I outline developing limb independence is you start with just like playing one hand, and then you do something else with the other hand, like pick up a pen and draw, or take some coins and rearrange them and like turn it into a house, etc. And then do different stuff with it. Then you take up your other hand. Once this becomes like a metronome and you don't have to think about it as much, and you can like start to actually like read things or talk while you're playing, you've developed that myelination enough that you can start focusing on other things, in this case another limb. So in this case, when I'm playing this, I might start with like these patterns that are on here while learning this, and just go and just play this over and over until that feels comfortable, and then until that feels comfortable, etc. And then just like going through this and treating my right hand as a metronome so that I'm not having to think about what the hand is doing while I am playing through this thing. And so once you can like do that and like sitting with it and feel comfortable, which is what I'm trying to do with this other pattern, then you go into the next phase, which is like reading through this pattern and going like 2 reps through it and just like trying to get all the way through that. Once you can get that down, then we go into the more complicated thing, which is the charts that are back here, and going, okay, I can play in a sequence and play with a single note and then play 2 notes and then 3 notes and slowly expand. And I can play these easier timing permutations. Then musically speaking, the next step is to, okay, well, how do you do this while reading non-predictable rhythms? And then the next step after that would be the technically proficient, is if you can read through these charts while doing it. The next step is to, okay, now that I can like play the ink on the page and like everything that I'm doing feels fine, it's rhythmically correct, then you can start focusing on, okay, well, how can I add in like different timbres? How can I play on different parts of the drums? How can I play on different parts? And so I'm doing this instead of like this, or changing it around. So that again, going back to the myelination process, going from axon to axon, or neuron to neuron through the axon, it strengthens it and it allows you to think about other things, because that myelination process makes it so that you reinforce it. And it's kind of like, instead of the way that I've talked about this before is, instead of thinking of like right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, you just think of paradiddle. So you think right, left, right, left. So your brain is grouping things together, and you start thinking of the, to use an analogy, like the word instead of the letters of the word. So then you can start reading sentences, musically speaking, and not going like, okay, HOWTOPRACTICE. Instead, you're going how to practice. You can start thinking of that. And then eventually you can start thinking of sentences and entire phrases. So you can think right, 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 as opposed to right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, etc. But that's just for the hands. So this process you repeat with the other things. So in the more complicated version of this, you have this going, and then you do something else. This is one of my favorite ones, the bione. You're going back to firing more things simultaneously that are all working interdependently with each other. They're all collaborating while playing through this. And again, you go to, okay, I want to have the independence on my left hand. I need to get this to the point where I can just like talk while playing this without screwing it up. And then you start going through and you train your brain to think in time with this limb that you're doing. And then eventually you get to the point where you just like play whatever you want with it. But that takes an extended period of time. In general, to like get to the point where something will feel natural, on average, it takes about 50 hours of practice on that thing. So for me to get used to, so 1E, a 2E, a 3E, a 4E, it's going to take about 50 hours before I can like really get it down. Like I can play a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a... This I can get down because I've played many patterns this way. And it can transfer from one pattern to another. So, okay, now I'm going to do a different pattern in my foot, or a different pattern in my left hand, or something like that. But by going through like all these different things that are outlined in Dom's book, like a lot of them build off each other. Like when you're playing ding, 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 what you do with your feet, your right foot and your left hand, like can all build off of this solid thing that you're building here. So we could do something like this and then read through the pattern with the foot. Or like the one I was doing the other day, So the 2 and 4 on the hi-hat, like I already have the myelination developed with this, so I don't have to think about 2 and 4 as much as I would with other things. So like a pattern I was playing earlier where the hi-hat was on 3 only, 3, and I don't have that strengthening of the axons as much as I do the other ones where it's on like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But over time, I'll strengthen that. And I just ranted a bunch. Let's see. So when you have 2 distinctly well-rounded skill sets, maybe. So there's an interesting thing in both skill acquisition and learning, which I would consider to be kind of very similar, is the idea of transference. So your ability to transfer, in this case, firings, neurologically speaking, like synaptics, from one to another, and to be able to pair them to say, hey, these are important things to be able to do together with cohesion. So like 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. Once you get that down, like, okay, then you get your feet down. Okay, but then if you change it so it's 1 EN, 2 EN, 3 EN, 4 EN, it might take a little bit of like time for your brain to kind of rewire it and go, no, we can do these together as well. We can bring this other thing in. But it is faster than like trying to learn the 2 things separately. So I know I'm ranting a lot, but there was multiple podcasts that I've done episodes on the idea of integrating 2 different subject areas. So in the instance, because it was a computer science education podcast, I've seen a lot of people talk about, well, we want to integrate computer science with mathematics, or with my own background, like music and computer science. And so they'll talk about how, well, you just learn them both together. And that is significantly harder, neurologically speaking, and even schema-wise. Like, sorry, I'm using too many words. I'm trying to not use the complicated educational discourse that people might not be familiar with. I'm not saying you are not, Tyler. And no disrespect for anybody. I don't mean that as like a hierarchy, but there's a lot of jargon that people use. But it's hard to learn 2 things together. It's like saying, okay, I want to learn 1 and a 2 and a, while also learning the Bayonne pattern. 1, 2, you can't do that like without significant cognitive strain because of well, there's a concept known as cognitive load theory, and it's the idea. What is it? You can't hold from a memory perspective 7 plus or minus 2 things, I think is the exact number, at any moment. So like I can't have you like learn how to hold a stick while playing a Bayonne pattern while also memorizing a phone number. And like once you add on too many things to think about, your brain at that 7 plus or minus 2 things, so it could be like 5 things or it could be like 9 things. Your brain is like, no. This is too far from what we are comfortable with, known as a schema, and it is too outside of this comfort zone. And so we can't make sense of it. And so when you're learning computer science and music and you don't have a background in either and you're fusing them together, then it creates way too much cognitive demand, and it can actually burn people out and make them go, well, I don't want to learn either computer science or music. So what I actually recommend for people is you should learn just music and just computer science and then learn how the 2 work together. And it doesn't mean you can't do all 3 like in the same day. Like I'm going to have an hour on music, an hour on computer science, and an hour of it together. But it is much harder to do that. So when you're learning 2 different skills, whether it's like a pattern in the ride or a pattern in the feet, I do recommend working on them in isolation before you put them together, which is why a lot of people will like break down the hands like, well, what is a rudiment doing? And they'll play just the right hand and then just the left hand, which is cool. But you got to also work on it in context together, because like I was saying, when you have them separately, the first time you put it together, then the brain goes, whoa, what's going on here? I don't know how this works, which is why I have under the technique section, these rudiment builder exercises are written out in a specific way so that, like this cheese builder, it plays, here's what your right hand is doing on this first page. So then it's adding on one left hand at a time for every one of these lines. And then when it gets to the second page, it's both of them together, and then it subtracts one right hand at a time. So it's training your brain to think of just one hand, then together, and then just the other hand. And that is like the ideal way to do it. If all you do is work on a skill in isolation without seeing how it works in context, then learning wise, it leads to some issues. So like having been on snare lines where like the tech would like break down a rhythm extensively on one hand and then break it down extensively on the other hand, what would usually happen is we'd get it clean on just the right, get it clean on just the left, and then we put it together and it'd sound not clean. But yeah. The camera is stuck on a focusing loop. That's funny. So it's it's this. So like, if I cover up this stuff, then it usually like fixes it. But yeah, we're having a party right here. Sorry, I need to read through the chat. I have a well-rounded education. Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, so one of the things when I was doing my residency for the PhD in music education, there would be these new doc students who would always come in and like, hey, what advice would you give to me so I can be successful in the program? And most people would talk about like set aside time each day to do research, blah, 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 blah. But one of the things that I recommended and still recommend is to read outside of the field. I have been so actually since my undergrad, like I took a kinesiology course that was on sports psychology because I assumed that the sports psychology concepts, like the ways that a sports psychologist would help train like an Olympic level athlete would help me to be able to work with like a snare drummer or tenor drummer or whatever. So when I took that course, like it really opened up my eyes to like the ability to take concepts and apply it into the field. And so, excuse me, a lot of my presentations and publications have been on applying concepts that are outside of the typical discourse of music education and putting it in the context of music education. There's a concept of affinity spaces or rhizomatic learning or like all these nerdy things. And even like looking at, well, what is the intersection of music and technology, and then specifically not just technology, but computer science and music, and like looking at the scholarship within computer science and applying that to music education, but also taking the music education scholarship and applying that to computer science education. No offense to computer science education scholars, but they are decades behind scholarship on music education in general. So it was really easy to like say, hey, we've already like kind of figured this out for like decades of research. If we take the current understanding of music education and apply it to computer science education, they'll be able to leap forward quite a bit. So like taking an arts-based approach to teaching computer science was something that I like really spent a lot of time doing and found success in. So it set me apart from the other scholars and presenters and whatnot and educators because I was taking stuff outside of the field and applying it into the field. And that can be done with anything. So I did Muay Thai for years, and some of the ways that the instructors taught Muay Thai, I also applied to my own teaching and my own performing. Like, how are they breaking down this motion? How can I apply that to breaking down emotion with this? How's it being taught in this context? So I find teaching in everything, whether it's like, how is this like tutorial teaching me something in a video game, or how is this app teaching me to use it, and what would I do differently if I were teaching this concept to like a student? But same thing with like playing or whatever. That's why you don't like playing it by playing all of it slow. Yeah, so I hear you. I know this is going against the grain, but I have on the shelf a ton of books. Actually, I think I can show you. Let's see. Sight. Nope. How to improve sight reading music. Yeah, this one. Okay. Woo. Okay, so these are the an overhead view and like the front view of like these are method books that I have. Like Syncopation or the Blue Devils book or Jeff Queen's book, etc. This is like back there stacks of method books and then stacks of sheet music and whatnot. And most of the stuff that I see for a drum kit is like very vertical, where you are lining up the different limbs vertically speaking, and you're learning stacks of rhythms together and in syncopation with each other. And that process teaches you how to play like a groove. Like you can cool, and then you loop this for 30 minutes. And then maybe you'll go on to the next one. And it's like, great. That's teaching you how to play specific beats. But how do you come up with your own beats? How do you put that in musical context? What if the bass player is playing something different that doesn't really line up with either of those, and you need to be able to adjust it? So the way I like it is like putting the chunks of ostinatos to go with the verbiage for it, but like chunks of rhythms and groupings together that are like kind of the fixed thing that you play, and then you play the melodies on top of that, whether it's like the snare drum is a melody or like your bass drum is a melody, because you're always going to have this going, and then the bass drum is doing whatever it wants. And that makes it so that your playing is much more versatile. So this is based off of like Gary Chester's books. He talks about this in the New Breed 1 and 2. So I recommend these. And then my lessons with Don Moyo, who's the person that did the other book, this one, 50 Ways of Syncopation, where I'm getting all these like syncopation exercises from. But taking that approach, I think it allows you to have more versatility in your playing and make it so that you're not stuck with, well, I know how to play this one groove, I can't really adjust it. So that way when you're like working with somebody, you can go, oh yeah, let me adjust it. Let me complement what you're doing better, as opposed to like going into it this fixed, I can only do this toolbox of predetermined grooves, and instead go, whoa, okay, you're doing that, cool. Well, what if I did this? And then one of the things that Dom would do in the lessons is we'd like trade fours. And so like I play ding for like 4 measures while he'd be soloing on top of that. And then I'd solo while he's just like keeping an ostinato. And then he would listen to what I was doing and he would adjust it and he would like make a new thing, and then vice versa. So we go back and forth. And that's something that a lot of jazz musicians can do really well, that I wish more like pop, rock, hip hop, etc. musicians could do. But you're not able to sell that as easily as you can the stacked, the vertical approach, where it's like, here's a groove. Like somebody in one of the other YouTube chats was like asking Soka, and when playing through that, oops, no, there we go. I think that's the Soka thing on like the Vic Firth, like all the different groove sheets that I used to have up on my wall. And like you learn the Soka, and then it's like, cool, now play another variation of that. And then me, I go, I don't know. I don't know how to do that. So it doesn't work out really well in the long run. You can get by, but it won't sound good unless you really invest a ton of time experimenting with it. And I don't think you can experiment with it unless you're actively working beyond what is on the page in front of you and constantly going, well, what if I did this? What if I permutated this and shifted it differently? And the approach that I'm using, based off of research on neuroscience, based off of research on how we learn, that's what I kind of outline in the video that is right there. This one. I elaborate on it more here, but I've elaborated on way too much. You said you wanted me to get extremely detailed, Tyler, so I don't know if that answers your question. But, you know, let's see. I'm going to go back to see what the original one was. How does the brain figure out this? Multi-limb independent stuff? Yeah, okay, so I think I answered that. But yeah, this is, I don't know, this is stuff that I think is fun, and not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but like I just don't see enough people talking about drumming to this level of depth. Not trying to knock on anyone, because I'm in a very fortunate position that like we're able to live off of my wife's salary, so like I don't have to sell courses or books or apps or even private lessons. I don't do those anymore. But there's a lot of people who will like share the basics and then sell anything beyond that, so the intermediate and the advanced stuff. And I get it. Like as a musician, it's hard. Like I make like less than $1 a day on all this drumming stuff. I can't pay the bills with that. But there's just not enough people talking with depth on how to play, but even how to teach, or like how this all works together. Thank you for the sub on YouTube. So I'm trying to share everything I know, and not put it behind a paywall. And so far, I'm poor because of it. But I wish more people talked about it and shared the insights. There are some people, like the 80/20 drummer tries to ask some questions to like really get into like the mindset of a performer on drumkit. But a lot of them are performers who haven't had the metacognition, the like thinking about their thinking and reflecting on like, well, what is it that I'm actually doing? Because they just haven't taught it enough. So I wish more people did that. But you weren't paying attention. Can I repeat all that? I don't even remember what I was talking about. This is welcome to my state of flow consciousness. Anyways, I just rambled a bunch. So next time, because I want to try and stay on schedule here, with little nightmares. Next time, I will work more on this pattern, with the. So 1 and a 2. So we will grind that out more. That's going to take a lot more work to develop that myelination. And that's actually, it's the gray matter in the brain, is, if I remember correctly, is that myelination. So that is the improvements of the brain connections. And because music is like so many different things going on, like I'm reading something while I'm listening to something while I'm mechanically moving 4 different limbs, etc. It's considered to be like a whole brain activity, which is one of the cool things about music, and why my wife has background in music therapy. But why the patients with like Alzheimer's and dementia, music can be so what word do I want to use? Stimulating for them. And it can like help them feel like themselves, is because when they are engaging in music, making it and listening to it, etc., it can activate so many more different groupings of the brain that have kind of been left dormant, I guess you could say, because of the dementia and the effects of that. So music therapy is a really cool thing, and making music is a really cool thing to kind of like help with people who have some of those neurological degenerative diseases and whatnot, which is fascinating. So not only am I like learning new stuff, but it's also hopefully going to help it so that when I am older than I currently am, then hopefully I don't have as negative effects with like dementia and whatnot. But anyways, hey, I appreciate it, Tyler. Just trying to help. So I'm on this grind for the long run. Talking to my wife about it last night. Like, I really enjoy what I'm doing. It does not pay the bills by any means, but I feel like I'm having an impact, even if it's with a small number of people at the moment. I know eventually people will find all these resources. Speaking of, there's 62 chop exercises, over 1,000 grid variations, 150 timing exercises, 55 drum charts, over 400 marching bass, and just under 400 technique exercises, all here. You can find these on YouTube. If you want to stay on the home tab, you can go there. It's organized into playlists. You just got to click on the header for the drumming content. So for here, click on this, and that expands and it shows you all these playlists. Otherwise, go to the link at the top of each one of the descriptions, and that's how you get there. If you enjoy this content, share it with somebody else. or just, use it, engage with it. But I'm going to call it here. I know I ranted a bunch for probably the last like 30 or so minutes. Hopefully that's useful for some people. Maybe I'll edit it down into some clips that might be useful. But sometimes when I give these rants, because it's like off the cuff, like I didn't know you were going to ask about that. What I might do is like think about it more and then kind of like have a better answer in a future stream, and then edit that down into something more cohesive and comprehensible than me rambling for a very long time. But you're welcome. Thank you, Tyler. I appreciate you. Glad to hear about your weekend going good with the group. But yeah, I'm going to call it. I'm going to get ready for this game, Little Nightmares. We're playing the second one right now. It's a very interesting game. I'm enjoying it so far. And having beat the first one a couple days ago, it's cool to see the progress that they made from the first game to the second game. But anyways, I'm out. So I hope you all have a good rest of your day. Thanks for everybody stopping by, and goodbye.